One, two, let's review this boxing comedy. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Buddies and Blockbuster. I'm your host, AJ, and we're here to review Alappuzha Gymkhana. As I mentioned in my Malayalam movie review, this was the one movie that did not have a US release. When you guys back home in India had three Malayalam movies releasing at the same time, which was Bazooka, Malayalam and Gymkhana. I'm pretty sure and confident that because Gymkhana was doing really well in the box office, that they have released it in the US in the second week, or maybe they heard this little guy's request, because I really wanted to watch this movie. So I'm just happy that as soon as they put on a couple of shows, I booked it, just came back from it, and was surprised to see it was a packed crowd. So I think out of the three, in my opinion, this one stands as the winner in the trifecta, because in my mind, when you rank the three movies that released, I think Gymkhana is number one. Maranamas, although it had a lot of comedy and a bit development stuff, the second half was a bit draggy. That's two. And Bazooka, even though I have not seen it, but based on the reviews, it's basically a flopzooka. So initial reactions, guys, this was an entertaining, comedic, and fruitful movie. It's like a feel-good movie for the most part. It gives you what you expect from a Naslen movie. He's taking a kind of a different role in terms of his physical appearance, but when I thought about the character, I thought it's going to be different, but it's more or less the same. Basically what you get from any kind of Naslen movie, but with the boxing and fitness routine that they've incorporated here. So for the most part, I actually liked the story and the way how everything was unfolding, and the bond that the group or the gang share is pretty good. It takes you back to your college days. Going through those phases, I think the director did a great job. So I've got to give a shout out to Khalid Rahman, who is the director and one of the writers as well. He's done a really good job in capturing those moments, whether it's the bond that they share, the expressions, the transitions in a couple of scenes where it turns into those boxing tournaments. It's perfect, right? Aside from Naslen, you might think this is a Naslen show. It is not. I think it's a combined effort. Yes, he's the lead, but everybody else, the supporting cast, did play a huge role in making this movie so good. So I've got to give a shout out to everybody. Lukman Avaran, who was the coach, did a great job in being this badass guy who also has a good heart. Baby Jin, I was so surprised to see him, but his dialogue delivery, his presence, that swag and that aura that he has, even though he's little small in front of everybody else, but his presence in this movie is epic. The other folks like Franco Francis, Ganapati also played a good role in showcasing his character. Sean Joy, Sandeep Pradeep, Shiva Hariharan, whoever was part of that gang delivered in the best way possible, and that's why you connect and like the movie a whole lot. In terms of the story, it's not something that you've not seen before. You get the gist of where this is going, but for the most part, you have a bunch of guys who just finished their 12th grade, not super serious about life, the usual. You have a lot of them failing and one of them passing. There's this one scene where everybody fails, and there's this one guy who passes, and had that similar experience when Bob passed in his first attempt. I did with a couple of others, and I'm like, you you have the feeling, and that connection was so good because so many instances that they showcase about that life. Naslen goes through multiple situationships or relationships. He has a bunch of those going on. That showcase. At some point, he comes up with the idea of, okay, they're not doing well in studies, so you might as well go through a sports category and get a quota and go to college with that exemption. That's when they go through this boxing phase. They're nobodies. They're just like you and I, who don't know anything about boxing, and going in, learning, and then competing at the state level is basically the story and flow. The first half is all about character development, them getting introduced to this boxing life, and the second half, it just picks off with all the fights, because they showcase every person in that team's fight is unique, and I really like that take, because you might think, okay, they're only going to focus on Naslen's character and maybe give Ganapati a bit more like a screen time for the fight scene. No, every single character has their own way of results, which I don't want to spoil, and the way how they fight and go through their own phases. It's a couple of things. Comedy, the dialogue delivery, I've got to give a shout out to Ratish Ravi. It's so comedic, and everybody was having a blast as and when any of the characters had those puns and comebacks to one another, putting them down. It was such a joyride to see that. They go through hurdles, because keep in mind, they're rookies, they're underdogs, so you're basically rooting for them, but keep in mind, they're going up against the elite in the state level, in the championship round and stuff like that. So that's how it goes. The only thing, and I've noticed that in the couple of movies movies that I've been seeing, especially in the Mollywood industry, the last climax or the way how these movies are ending, that's something that I'm not connecting with. The last 20 minutes, instead of going in one direction, which is just my opinion, I would have preferred them to go in one, like sticking to the tournament itself, but they made it more towards like this whole fight scene at the end, which is okay, but that's where it kind of dropped for me. That was, if you ask me what's a negative of this movie, is probably that last 15 to 20 minutes where they move away from the tournament and the focus is just about a Gunda fight. All hell breaks loose. It reminded me of like folks that watched Cobra Kai, everybody fighting the streets and the house, whatever, right? That's the only thing that I feel the director or the writer should have taken it into a different approach and stuck to the actual tournament, because during that tournament scene, it keeps you on edge, and that was really good because you don't know who's going to win. Although they're underdogs, you still want them to win. You're backing them up, and it was good to see the director get us on edge on those fight sequences till the end. Aside from that, everything else was good. I had a good time with this movie. It was worth going to the theater, and I'm super glad that they released it in the US. But since I'm a week late and y'all have already gone and watched it, what did you guys think about Gymkhana? And out of the 3 movies that was released last week, which was your best? Rank them up, put it in the comments, and as always guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and share.